What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Saturday, April 25th, 2026, and we are back with another live and a very special live here on the Touring and Rain Reloaded channel. And as y'all can see, I have my camera turned on today, and y'all know the rule. Whenever I have the camera turned on, because y'all usually know I don't have it turned on, that usually means that there is a guest waiting in the wings. As a matter of fact, it's two guests waiting in the wings. Now, it was originally one, but we got two special guests coming up with me today to discuss this movie. I can't wait to get into it with them. But before we get into all of that, make sure if you haven't done so already to please go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you are new. And if you are new to the channel, please be sure to go ahead and hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. Let's see who we have in here so far. We got Dimple Face, Andrea Jones, Janesta, TR5, Wallow J. I think Wallow said that he's going to see it at 7, so he'll catch the playback of the live. We got Dimple Face in here, ABC Girl, Fire Bat, Don P, Church. Who else we got in here? Hurricane Nisi, Char Willie, Sybil, RJC, RC Minnesota, Tracy Lee. I have a few people in here who said that they're at the theater right now about to watch it. So shout out to y'all. We got All I See. We got Gwendolyn. Who else do we have in here? Gabrielle, Jennifer, AW1, Little D, Kevin, GDS, Stacy, and E Court with J just popped up in here. Okay. So I feel like it's only a one proper way that I can actually introduce the folks that I have coming up with me today. But I feel like I have to do like a kind of like a reveal type of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen right quick. Y'all going to watch this little teaser, this little small teaser. And I'm sure many of you have seen this teaser several times before. And then when we come back, you will see who I have coming up here with me. So, as y'all can see, we got two surprise guests, two blasts from the past up here today. And I'm so excited, more than just having to talk about this movie. I'm just glad that I have two people up here who are just as big as fans of Michael Jackson as I am. And what better way for me to discuss this movie than to have none other than Nicole's view and Harvey, your world, Superboy, all of that good stuff up here with me today to talk about this. What is going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
It has been a long time.
Long time.
I am so glad that y'all are here. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, I actually reached out to Nicole when the tickets dropped for this movie back in March, like towards the end of March. And I said, Nicole, we have to review this movie together. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know what arrangements we're going to have to make. And then it kind of like, we kind of talked a little bit back and forth. Thank God I got on the TikTok, because that was a way that I knew that I see that she's on there a little bit more. So thank God I decided to create that TikTok, and I DM'd her. I said, we got I don't know where we at with this, but we got to talk about this. It got to the point where I said to myself, I don't think I can review this movie without your input. Like, you're one of the few big MJ fans that I know that can help me out with this. And then you said yes. And then today, literally a few hours ago, you sent me a DM back and said, Harvey wants to come up as well. And I said, oh, this is going to make it even better, because the audience loves him too. But I'm glad that both of y'all are here. How are y'all doing?
Good. Doing good. How about you, Harvey? So good to hear you.
I mean, good to hear you. I made it to 50, so I'm happy.
Happy belated birthday.
42 on the 3rd, yeah.
You're still a baby.
Aw.
Yeah, so while we are all here, while we are all gathered here today, we are all here to discuss for me, my most anticipated movie of the year ever since I first heard it was announced a couple years ago. When I heard that it was in development, even with all the stuff it was going through, I was still waiting and craving, wanting to see it. And then that teaser dropped back in November, and then it was nowhere but up from there. And now, after all this waiting, all this time, the movie is finally here, and I was able to see it on Wednesday for an early access screening, and it was so much fun. I saw it in Dolby, and the real fans were there. Like, people were dressed up, they were playing the music. Like, when it was over, people was like dancing, with the credits rolling. People were taking pictures. It felt like a family reunion with complete strangers. I don't know how was it for y'all?
Yes, same here. Hey everyone, I've missed y'all so much. First and foremost, thank you, Torian, for reaching out to me. I took a YouTube hiatus, basically. Long story short, and I've missed y'all so much. It's been so much going on. Now I'm in the fitness thing. I have a whole rebounding trampoline class that I hold. So that takes up some of my time too, in my brain and memorizing routines and all that. But please know, I have missed y'all. I get DMs all the time, like, when are you coming back? And I'm like, I will. It's just my focus has been just more so in fitness and just regular life and this and that. But please know, I'm still on social media. I'm on TikTok now under Nicole's View. So if y'all are on there, I tend to be on there a lot. It's just easier too, just to upload something, to say something, and it's there. But I'm there. And I just want to say, first and foremost, like you, Torian, I went early access Wednesday night with some other friends. We dressed up. We made an event out of it. Basically, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
The
I saw the pictures.
audience, yes, the audience, you can tell, loved it. They gave him like a nice hand clap, Jafar, towards the end with the credits. I mean, it was amazing. And we saw it again last night with my husband and my son. They hadn't seen it. So I've seen it twice, and then I'm going to see it tomorrow with my mom and another friend. So I'm supporting heavy. Y'all know I'm supporting heavy.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, I found the movie to be, they had 2 hours to put together something that, to me, was in Michael's eyes. You have these critics. You're going to have people who are going to be hard on the movie. They didn't include this. They didn't include that. But I went into this movie, I didn't have high expectations, and that doesn't mean I didn't want it to be great, because it was great. But I didn't have all these grand, insane expectations. There's only so much they can do within 2 hours for a film. It's a movie, not a mini series. It's not a TV series. So they're going to give you what they can give you. They can't give you things if people don't agree to be in the movie, like Janet or Diana Ross. Things get cut. So if y'all are complaining about that, there are only certain things they can do to make it work. And I thought they made it work damn good. Jafar Jackson should be the biggest thing in Hollywood right now. And I'll stop right there. You can go, Harvey.
Well, before I get started, I want to thank Torian for hosting us. It's greatly appreciated. I've been watching you guys from afar. I wish I was still on the YouTube platform. That's a long story I won't really get into right now. And it's good to see Nicole. I've been watching you with the videos of your class. So congratulations. Tell your husband, your son, I said hi. And to those of you who wish me happy birthday, thank you. I really appreciate it. I've been dealing with I hate to say I don't want to get down, but I lost my service dog last year. And then I've been going to, unfortunately, to a lot of family funerals as of late. Your aunts and uncles get a certain age, and you had to deal with that. And so I had 3 family members that I lost just within the last month. My father's sister and 2 cousins. So you're dealing with that, but I'm on fan base. I do little commentaries over there. It's under Harvey 76. If anybody's interested. Hopefully I'll get back to doing live streams on this platform. And when I do get the funds to go to court to challenge what YouTube has done, then hopefully I get that channel back. But until then, I appreciate you guys inviting me on your platform. Now, to be honest with you, I haven't seen the movie yet. Actually, my brother and sister called me and they wanted me to go this evening to see it. They already saw it twice, but they want to go see it again. And they want me to go because they know I'm a fan. But I told them I was planning to do this live stream with you guys. And I said, we'll go Tuesday. This is when I go Tuesday, I'm going to wear my Michael Jackson shirt. We're going to do the whole thing, you know. Now, the thing is, what I've been watching, and I told Nicole when me and her was talking to Taj a few years back, be prepared for them to bash this movie. And a lot of the critics have been getting called out at Rotten Tomatoes because everybody says they're giving a 96 rating, you know, viewership rating. And you have white folk, even though some of us critical, they said Jafar kicked ass. And only thing that I was concerned about this movie is the portrayal of Joe Jackson, because for 40 years he's been the whipping boy of sorts. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw some of the trailers with Coleman Domingo, I'm like, is he a caricature? Or I mean, I never met Mr. Jackson. He very well can be the villain of the story, as they say. But a lot of it, I think, is just that they need that for dramatization purposes. And then on top of that, Janet, it wasn't about Janet. That's not her story. It's about Michael.
Right.
You know, and then it's Dinah Ross, the actor's in there. She said she was cut out because legal things. Because let's just be honest. Right now, you got the guy that did that documentary, Leaving Neverland, come out and said that Michael Jackson is worse than Jeffrey Epstein. But in the Epstein files, they saying that Michael was trying to save children from this guy. So how can he be worse than Jeffrey Epstein when you got a sitting president doing everything to hide what was going on? See, Michael can't defend himself. I remember we had this conversation with that people can pretty much say whatever they want, and that's why they've been able to get away with certain things. Then on top of that, and I hate to say this, and I mean, anybody follow my videos on YouTube, listen to some of her interviews. In some ways, she's throwing her daddy under the bus. They want to make it Jermaine and Janet and them. It's his daughter. And no, and I had to go there. I know I don't like people saying those are not his kids, but those are his kids. His name is on a birth certificate. It got the Jackson name, but she's being a white woman, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's, like I said, there's a lot of controversy that was, you know, of course, leading up to it. And y'all are right. There was going to be some. We knew what they was going to do with the slander and everything leading up until this movie came out, because when they came out and they immediately said it was a 27% immediately, and not only just because of that, but when you look through the comments that were left there, none of them really made any type of sense. So the thing is, they were trying to get slander the movie ahead of it coming out, before the masses saw it, to sway people from seeing it. The thing is, people already got these tickets in advance. They were going to go see it anyway, no matter what a critic had to say. And the thing is, the movie right now, as it stands, is actually doing wonderful. Of course, it has the 96, which is the audience score, which is the score that you really should go by when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes anyway. They said it's the #1 movie in the world currently. It has now made $100 million. I think they said it made like $100 million like within its first day or something like that, which is a huge record. They said that was record breaking for any biopic. Like that's crazy. But I mean, we kind of knew that was going to happen, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's Michael Jackson. He was a global phenomenon. To this day, there are people who were born way after his death who knows who he is. I was talking about it in a TikTok video that I posted a couple weeks ago, where it was this little girl, like she was with her mom and her brother, and they was walking through, and she saw this poster, the Michael poster, and she was like, "Look, mommy, it's Michael Jackson." Not realizing, you know, it's a whole movie about him, but she thought it was legit Michael Jackson, and she said, "I like Michael Jackson." So I'm sure that her mother took her to go watch this movie. And then I heard it again where this boy was telling his dad pretty much the same thing. I'm talking about this man is a multi-generational icon. His legacy will never leave. He's like that one of one, that once in a lifetime that you'll get and you'll never get again. That's where he's at right there. Despite all the things that came out about him and all the allegations and everything, the fans, the real ones, had his back and will still continue to have his back until, it's all said and done.
I agree. And I've said this from day one. I said the minute that this was even announced, you saw some of these same journalists, talking heads on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it, saying, oh, we know what this is going to be. It's just going to be some sanitized puff piece to make Jackson look like blah, blah, blah. And then when you fast forward to this week and you saw those same sort of comments sanitized, it's like they come together and they're basically all just saying the same thing, right? And it's just like, we know what the playbook is. We know what y'all are going to do. It's so obvious. This is why people ignore them. And we're like, go see it for yourself. Think for yourself. Judge for yourself. And as you can see, it's breaking records as we speak. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, crossing $100 million worldwide in one day is incredible. Absolutely. For any movie to accomplish that, that's amazing. And like I said, this is a biopic. This is not a Marvel movie or an Avatar movie where you'll expect something like that. This is a biopic that's doing that.
And don't be surprised that tomorrow they're going to either lie about the numbers or people are going to say, we're going to greenlight this film, and people are going to try to make some legal maneuvers to keep the second part for going, because a lot of people are criticizing where it stops at 1988 during the bad era, right? People need to understand the first Liar, because let's just keep it real. Over the years, stuff had come out. The father and his team made sure that there's no movie or documentaries in America touch that. If you see any documentaries, they all are out of country. People need to remember that. You have to ask yourself, why didn't this father want this stuff spoken about? Because if people looked a little too close at that time, they would realize it was a shakedown. And after Michael died, the son, even before Michael died, he was dropping hints that, hey, my father made me lie on this man. And shortly after, the father blew his brains out. People say, well, why would a man do that? Because everybody know that Martin Bashir, Rabbi Shmuley, Diane Diamond, Marie Orts, so many people led, and I still say they led to Michael deteriorating. This is why I believe the family didn't go after Dr. Conrad Murray, because they know that he happened to be the guy when Michael was at his last point. Because I was looking at some clips of Michael for This Is It. It was obviously the brother had lost a lot of weight. It was obvious that he was under a lot of stress. And when people keep vilifying Joe Jackson, remember, if Joe Jackson was this ogre, Michael would never say, Dad, come help me with this. People need to remember that. Joe Jackson was right there with Michael before he died. So when people go out here and talk about Michael and his family, his legacy, get the facts. This is why I always say, control your dollar, know your history. A lot of us don't know our history. Michael Jackson will more than likely go down like Mozart. You know, people still talk about Beethoven. We've long gone. Because think about it. Nicole, you're 42. I'm 50. Tori, I'm pretty sure you're in that age range, right?
I'm 36.
Okay, you're 36. That means
He's the baby.
Yeah. So think you're a millennial, right?
Yeah.
Michael Jackson is in our parents' age group. He's a baby boomer. Think about how many kids. I mean, it shocks me that little kids are out here dancing like Michael Jackson. It kills me that they know his routines better than we do. I remember when Motown 25 premiered. Everybody, we was tripping over ourselves trying to do the moonwalk. A kid I went to school with broke his arm. He was outside in front of the school trying to do the moonwalk, tripped over the crack and broke his arm.
Oh, no.
You know, we couldn't afford the Michael Jackson Thriller jacket. We got the members only jacket and say, "Oh, it's like a Michael Jackson jacket." We all wore the Jerry curl because of Michael Jackson. There's pictures of me floating around my family when we went to Jerry curl. You know, so Michael Jackson influenced so much, and he still influenced music today. Chris Brown, Usher, everybody emulates Gans' move. Justin Timberlake emulated Jackson's move. All these concerts, when you see Taylor Swift and them jumping out from the bottom of the stage, Michael did that first. His sister did the same thing. So when people disrespect Michael and his family, they are the first Black family of pop music. The Osmond family, matter of fact, one of the Osmond brothers died the other day. They even copied the Jackson 5 and the Jacksons later on success. Remember that one, just that song, maybe it came out ABC, and they wanted the Jackson, when they was at the Jackson 5 to do one last apple, one bad apple. If you go listen to it, Donny Osmond was trying to sing like Michael Jackson. Oh, I saw somebody say, Harvey say Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber. So,
yeah.
And then this movie had to compete with that miniseries, the one that came out, the Jackson American. So there's going to be things that they probably in that movie, and I'm assuming they didn't rehash, because that movie is always going to be a part of. I mean, look at when VH1 was actually playing a movie. They play it all day, all the time. So you're competing against that movie with Angela Bassett in them. And like I say, from what I saw, people dancing to the clips, singing in the Michael Jackson. I'm telling you, they're going to talk about Michael Jackson like Beethoven and Mozart. And I think a lot of these white folks are mad because you ain't talking about Elvis the same way. You ain't talking about the Beatles the same way. They want us as Black people not to take some pride in what that man and his family did. And like I said, you can listen to Michael Jackson stuff and still bop your head. In my car, when Rock What You Come on, I turn that joker up. When Butterfly come on, I turn it up. And I don't care who hear me. And the very people are hating are the ones secretly sitting in the theater. Ooh, I remember that song. Ooh, I remember this.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to
go.
Oh, I just wanted to say, like, I think a lot of people need to remember too, because I see that why wasn't this person in the movie and that person in the movie? They have to sign off on it. If they don't sign off on it, they can't be in the movie. This is not the filmmaker's fault. Even LaToya said that they offered Janet, would you like to be featured? And she politely declined. And she was like, LaToya was like, we would have loved to have her in the, the movie, but she didn't want it. Also same with Diana Ross. I think she was actually in it initially. And I don't know if she saw it, didn't like how she was portrayed. And like last minute, they had to cut it out. So I just want people to keep that in mind. It's not the filmmakers. They were trying to make it like this, I guess, a big, robust sort of film. But if people don't want to be featured or highlighted, they can't put it in there. And for me, like I said, this film to me was supposed to be looking through his eyes. You have to go in it that way. You have to go in it knowing we're not going to get every single thing. Like I would love it, of course. The super fans and people who love film and music wouldn't mind sitting in a theater for 3-4 hours. That's just not realistic. There are other movies that have to play in these theaters. These folks got to make money. So I understand why there's constraints, But like I said,
and I don't.
I'm sorry, you can go.
And I don't mind it being, if they do a part 2, I don't mind them splitting it into 2 films, because that's going to pull people back in to see, okay, where are they going to go with part 2? Like where are they going to go at with this? And let me just say also this: a lot of people that was complaining, saying like, oh, this wasn't there and this wasn't there. If you look at the Jackson American Dream, there is, as much as that is beloved, there were some inaccuracies in there. There were some things that were overlooked in there. A lot of people forget that in the Jackson American Dream, they completely glossed over the off the wall era and went straight to Thriller. At least in this movie, they touched on off the wall. They touched on all, the major adult albums, Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad. But with American Dream, they glossed completely over that. Even the part with the Pepsi commercial, that was inaccurate too, because Michael did not fall down the steps. He made it down the steps, spun, and then fell to the ground.
Right.
And when you watch the movie, that he actually accurately did that correctly. He spun around to the fire went out and he fell in pain. So there was some inaccuracies that was in the Jackson's American Dream. It's just that that movie told the scope from the family perspective, because from what I know, it's based on Katherine Jackson's book that she wrote about the family, and that's what they made a movie off of. So this one is focused on Michael. Like literally, that's the title of the movie. It's called Michael. So if you don't see a certain thing in there and everything like that, it's fine. Do you know how many documentaries, reputable ones, that are out there about Michael Jackson? Also, one of my favorite things that I like to watch sparingly is the Michael Jackson private home videos. That's one of the best specials I've ever seen for Michael Jackson, because that was something that was done completely by him, where he's letting people into his life at a time when he was still a mystery. At that, he was still to some degree, still kind of a mystery today. But that was one of my favorite things. And I said, if they wanted to pull something to put into a biopic, they could pull something from that and just recreate something from those video clips. That way, because a lot of people may not know about it. But like I said, at the end of the day, the movie is about him. Like, this is his movie. This is his life up into a certain point. And then I'm sure that when they come back with the part 2, because I'm speaking into existence, that's what's going to happen. As a matter of fact, they actually shot up into the first allegation, but because of legal reasons, they had to scrap the whole third act, which was like another hour and some change long. So the movie was initially supposed to be about 3 hours instead of 2. But they had to scrap that whole part because, like Harvey said, of a legal situation, they could not have that part in the movie. So people were not going to see it. The thing is, even if they come out with a part 2, guess what? Same rules apply. They won't be able to have it in it. All they can probably talk about is maybe the aftermath of what happened without having to mention any names. Like, they might have to like do some workarounds, but then people gonna come back and complain about that too. I'm like, do y'all not understand how legal stuff works? They're trying not to get sued. That's the whole point. They knew if they would have left that in there, one or two things was going to happen. They were going to get sued straight to hell in the back, or the movie would have never gotten released. The worst case scenario is the movie would have never gotten released. So, I mean, hey, it is what it is. So, you know what? I can't fault Antoine Fuqua and the people over at Universal and Lionsgate for saying, okay, let's cut our losses. Let's just scrap it. We'll have to divvy out $15 million additional dollars to do these reshoots for like the next month and some change. But, you know, people are going to wonder what that part was like. I'm going to wonder what that part was like, but we'll never know now. But like I said, if you look at like the stuff, I mean, it's documented. It's all documented. We know that he didn't do what he was accused of. We know what the story is. So you can fill in your own gap, but you have to go and do your own due diligence about what was not there and present in the movie. Like, and the thing is, the people knew this. They made this public knowledge last year? Something like that they scrapped the whole third act. So why people going in this acting so surprised, I don't know. And these are people
it was sabotage. They were doing it on purpose.
Exactly.
Was actually last year or 2024 to be technical, because they said they did approach the allegations, but the lawyers and them found out and they said you can't do that. And the movie studio said we don't want to pay this money to that dude because the father's dead. Even though the son said that his father put him up to do that, they would have to give him some money because he would still have to sign off. He's not going to do that at this point since that hit piece Neverland came out. So everybody like Diana Ross, I think she didn't want to be a part of it. I think she was thinking about her legacy because Diana Ross, if you go listen to over the years, she sort of like, remember when they thought when Michael said that he wanted her to raise the kids and everything, and she was like, you know, don't think that there's certain people who was supposed to be in his story didn't want to. They just didn't want to be hooked up in this thing where people are constantly focusing on the negative aspects of his life. And by after the miniseries American Dream, it was a rights issue. People need to remember that was a Motown TV production. Michael Jackson did Off the Wall with Epic Records at that time. A lot of people forget that him and his brothers was with Philly International for a brief period, and they didn't even touch that. And then people need to understand, just like if you look at Malcolm X, it wasn't an always accurate film. That the brother Baines was a composite of his brother and everybody. So movies going to take creative licenses. The thing is to focus on Michael, his creative process, how he saw the world. And oh no! Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm sorry about this update. I think it's going to be a sequel.
Yeah, it alludes to it. The movie alludes to it. It alludes to it at the end, like in the credits. It alludes that it's definitely going to be a sequel.
And was on a Today Show with that coon, Craig Melvin, him and Neil Long, because he asked I don't know if y'all seen it when they asked about the allegations. And Neil Long, if you call her a facial bitch, she's like, motherfucker, but basically, it's gonna be a sequel. I think this movie is gonna rival Marvel in money making if they don't lie.
Yeah,
because a biopic can make that kind of money in one day. Think about it. That is Marvel type opening number.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said it, because for something that's so grounded that didn't cost much. Because mind you, the budget for this movie was $150 million.
They're gonna make that back this week.
Oh, they're gonna make that back. They got that in the bag for sure.
I'm gonna tell you something. Watch what's gonna happen. They're gonna rush to put that on streaming. They're gonna put that special edition DVDs or Blu-rays. Because you go on Amazon, they got a whole section of Michael Jackson. For y'all to think this man is a pervert, y'all sure love making money off of him. Y'all just did a damn Broadway show with him. So this proves the hypocrisy. The real fans, we know Michael wasn't perfect. We know he had plastic surgery. That was his business. Let the man rest. Let the fans enjoy it for what it is. Because you guys know that, excuse my language, Elvis was screwing Priscilla Presley, but y'all hold him at this high standard.
And from my knowledge, and from my knowledge, when it came to because they did they had an Elvis biopic. To my knowledge, they didn't really touch on that part in that movie. From what I've gathered, because I didn't watch it.
In the movie that came out from Priscilla point of view, nobody even watched it because nobody's like, we don't want to see your movie. We don't give a damn about you. We want to see Elvis. And see, people are so mad that a black man, a deceased black man who they've done everything in their power for 40 years to attack, still is endeared by millions of people. He gets new fans every day. There are people still downloading his music. People go to Halloween parties dressed as Michael Jackson. You got babies in Michael Jackson onesies. Tell me when you see somebody in the Elvis onesie. No, you don't see that.
That's true. All the
time. I mean, look, I'm gonna say this again. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it, but I'm going to see this multiple times because, first of all, it's a movie about a black family or about this particular black man, and I think that we need to support more projects like that. But if I was, if I had a chance to write the movie, I would focus on the fans' reaction to Michael. Instead of with the allegations, or people betrayed Michael. That's what they should focus on.
That's a good point. That's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that. Like, get it from the fans' point of view, how they reacted to the allegations and stuff like that.
Call out how all the late night comics was making jokes about him. Jay Leno and them. Then when that trial went down in 2005, they realized, oh damn, we have to destroy this man's image. Talk about that. That would be balanced. Then and I want them to do it where they can get some fat actors or put makeup on and make her like Oprah and make her like a freaking fool.
Oh God. Oh man, could you imagine?
I mean, if I had a chance to sit down and write a script, I would approach it from that way so you can still talk about what was going on without talking about it. And see what Michael endured when he was still making music, when he did the when he did They Don't Care About Us, when he went over to Brazil. And him and Spike Lee was able to go in a place with the gangs usually don't let you go in. And Michael had that juice to go in there and shoot a movie in that place in Brazil. People don't talk about that. And then talk about when he had that big statue when he was releasing history that was going down a river. And people forget about that part. And then when he did Butterflies, how every radio station was playing that song in a constant loop over and over again. And then when right before 9/11, him and his brothers got to Madison Square Garden and had grown people, old people crying when they see him and his brothers on stage again. And Michael was still knocking it out of the ballpark. That's what I would focus on the sequel.
Yeah. But I definitely hear you. It's just like you said, Torian, they knew that they had to restructure this movie. Like, so the whole thing about acting shocked, and they knew the movie stops in 88. Right. So it's just so disingenuous, all in bad faith, not even a little bit. They're not even trying to pretend to be like they're truthful. And that's the whole thing about it that makes me I just laugh at it because it's so absurd. And then the whole reason why they can't even talk about the 93, like we said, the 93 settlement or whatever, because there's a clause in it that I guess you can't depict any of this in a movie, documentary, or anything. Now, what they probably can talk about is that 05 trial. That's public.
Yeah, that's
knowledge.
what I said. That's what I said too. Like they could probably definitely talk about that
can't
for
talk
sure.
About 93, then 95 certainly should be in there. 2005 should certainly be in there, and showing what they did to him and showing him being acquitted. Will that satisfy you now, critics? You're not gonna like it. You're still gonna hate it. So we know what the turnout for that was as well. That's why they'll hate. I said, man, if they put that in there, I said I hope they incorporate the guy in there who released the dove for every charge that was read that said that not guilty. I know y'all remember that. It was a guy out there. It was a guy out there with a bunch of doves, and for every time it read not guilty, he released one dove. By the time it was all said and done, it was no doves. I mean, it was not. The cage was empty.
I was in Iraq that morning. I just got off a mission. And one of my sergeants said, he didn't know I was standing by. He said, they let that nigga go. Because they was releasing that lady had the doves. And I was up my ass off. And guess what? That 2005 trial is connected to the 93 charge. Because that's when Geraldo Rivera and Aphrodite Jones admitted that we helped destroy this man's legacy. Because shortly after, Geraldo did an interview with him on Fox. I remember Bill O'Reilly was pissed. And he said in front of me, he said, I apologize, brother. He said, we bought into these lies. They had Jay Leno. I forget, there was quite a few celebrities that they had on there that said that this family, that our Ruzos, whatever their name was, they shook it. And they would have to talk about Martin Bashir. Because Martin Bashir, remember when you said something about Michael Jackson on videos, his makeup artist and them told Michael, you better kick a camera around with you because Maury Povich hosted his shows on Fox. And for some reason, nobody plays that because it contradicts everything that Martin Bashir and that family said that happened. Because Michael explained about the people sleeping in the bed.
Because shortly after that Martin Bashir thing, that's when the next round of allegations happened.
Exactly.
I said that's not a coincidence right there. And because I remember when that came on, it came on in 2003, and I think the world was watching because, like I said, Michael Jackson was such a mysterious figure, and that was at a time when social media was still very much in its very early infancy stages. You only had MySpace and Facebook and Black Planet, and back then you didn't have smartphones, so everyone was still glued to the TV. And the thing is, Michael Jackson, anytime he came on, it was always an event, so people was going to watch regardless. But I remember watching that, and initially I was enjoying it, but then as it got more and more into it, I'm like, what is Martin Bashir trying to dig for? Like, what is he talking about? Like, what is he? And I understood that as a then 14-year-old, in high school watching this, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? Now I will say, if they want to include something into part 2, definitely put that in there, because like people, if you are a true fan, you remember how disgusting that was. It's like he had to go through that in 93 with Oprah, the Mammy Supreme Wigfrey, and now he got to deal with this with Martin Bashir. Like I said, this is absolutely, it was crazy. But I think at this point, I think we have pretty much got out everything we needed to say about these critics. We've crashed out for almost over 40 minutes. Now, me and Nicole in particular, we can really now get into this movie. Okay, Nicole, Nicole, you're the guest. I'm gonna let you lead off. Like, your initial thoughts. Like, what stood out to you? Like, what's we're just having a conversation at this point. Oh, snap! She fell off.
You don't think they watching us, do you, Tori?
I listen. I have no clue. Hopefully, she's able to come back. I don't look like she was checking on something. I hope she didn't hit something by mistake. But she has the link, so she can come back up.
Well, I know I haven't watched the movie, but I tell you what I look for is the music choice. Because I think from what I've heard, you've heard more of his R&B sounding music being played in the movie. I've heard they get Off the Wall and all that stuff. And they see, even at the end credits, I saw people dancing after the theater was clearing out. His true fans were in the house dancing. That in itself is powerful.
I saw people like depending on what type of screening you went to, some places were playing his music over the speaker before the movie started. So there were people that were singing and dancing before the movie even started. You even had some MJ interpreters or impersonators rather doing, dancing right there in the front to entertain the people before the movie got started. And of course, after the credits roll, because after the credits roll, it's like listening to one big Michael Jackson / Jackson 5 soundtrack from the time the first credit rolls all the way to the end. And I'm loving the fact that at the very end, they gave a tribute to Tito Jackson. Like they put a little excerpt in there about Tito right there at the end, which I was very appreciative of them doing that. I'm still shocked by his death. It's like, it's unfortunate, that he wasn't here, to see this, because he was alive during the production and then he passes after it's done. So it's it's unfortunate. Oh, Nicole's back. Did you hit something by mistake?
No, it just did. It just was like booting and reloading, and then it kicked me out.
Wow, that's crazy. But I was asking before. The thing before it kicked you out. Just like give we just having a conversation, like your thoughts on the movie and everything that you saw and all of that good stuff.
Yes. Basically, like I said, I went in. I just wanted to go in, just free, open. I just wanted to enjoy the movie for what it was. As a fan, it's easy to get caught up in. I want to see this. Trust me, I would have loved, for my own selfish reasons, to sit in a theater for 3.5 hours and enjoy this. But I'm like, I have to be in reality, right?
Yes.
But I went in. I was just so impressed with little Giuliano. He did such a good job. My heart melted for him. Yes, the little Michael. I thought he did so good. And then when it transitioned to Jafar, I mean, it was just even at another level. It is like Michael's spirit just channeled through that boy's body.
When he said the first words when he was there in the office with Quincy Jones, because this is the part where he's talking about making Off the Wall. And when he said his first words on Wednesday, when I was watching it, the people in the theater was like, oh, like people was like, wow, like he sounds shocking, just like his uncle. It is, y'all, for those who have not seen it, when you hear Jafar speak as Michael Jackson, it's like Michael came back to life and just put his voice box into Jafar Jackson's throat. Like it was like literally, it's like when you hear it, it is so eerie, because the thing is, we've heard and seen so many Michael Jackson impressions over the years, but my goodness, this one is S tier.
I heard
it is up there.
It's DNA. That's DNA, baby.
I heard people use the comparison to Jamie Foxx's Ray Charles with the mannerisms and the cadence.
Yeah.
They said
that's a good comparison.
Yeah, because I thought the same thing, because when I saw the clips, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not, you could tell if a computer was dubbing of somebody.
Yeah.
Remember, that's blood. That's his uncle. They said because he still lived in the same house that Michael, they say he slept in the bedroom, and they said he had to block everything out, and he just absorbed everything about his uncle. He sat down with his father, his aunts and uncles, and he talked. Even Michael Jackson's son said when he heard him and saw him, he thought that was his father. He said he broke down and cried. And I even found out he had a little cameo in the movie. He's a stagehand standing behind him before he walks.
Yes, I actually found that out from, because I didn't pick that up when I first watched it, but somebody I know watched it and they sent me the clip and they said, "Torian, do you see this?" I said, "What am I supposed to be looking at?" They said, "That's Prince Michael right there," and I was like, "Wait a minute, it is him." It's one of those things that you would blink and you'll miss it, because I definitely missed it, and it's crazy because I went back and saw it again today, and I missed it, and I missed it again.
I saw the second time.
Michael boys love their daddy. They are fiercely protective of his legacy. They are fiercely protective of their grandmother, and they stand by their cousin and uncle. When they was at that premiere, LaToya, all of them, they stood strong because you knew they was going to come with the hate. But the one that played young Michael, I have a question, guys. Did he make you forget Jason Weaver? Because I heard people say this kid channeled the young Michael. Did he make you forget Jason Weaver?
I wouldn't say that he made you forget Jason Weaver. The thing is, Jason Weaver had more screen time as young Michael in American Dream, whereas this actor, he's only on screen for maybe half an hour. Because I'll put it like this. The first part of the movie, the first half hour, maybe half hour, 45 minutes, only focuses on young Michael, the Jackson 5, them getting to Motown and all of that. Everything after that is Jafar Jackson forward. So he doesn't have that much screen time as Jason Weaver did, but with the time that he did have, he had you convinced that he was little Michael. Because even his mannerisms and how he was dancing, even what he did, even he sounded like young Michael. Because with young Michael, how he sounded, he had that high voice, and he even sang like him. As a matter of fact, when he was in the was Nicole, maybe you can answer this for me. When he was in the studio singing for Berry Gordy for the first time, was that him actually singing?
I think Jafar said that they blended their voices, so it's supposed to be like young Michael and Giuliano's voice, and then when Jafar would sing, it's supposed to be Jafar's voice and Michael's.
Okay, so they kind of blend. Because the thing is, if you watch the movie, you can actually hear where Michael's actual voice is, and then you can also hear where the actor's voice is, and even when they blended together, which was very good, because it got to a point where Jafar was singing live parts and it actually sounded like Michael's actual live performances. So it's kind of crazy, like how even his singing voice is very eerily similar to his uncle, and it's crazy because his voice is more similar to his uncle than his own dad. Because we know we know what Jermaine Jackson's voice sounds like when he sings. Jafar doesn't sound anything like his dad when he sings. He sounds more like his uncle.
Well, I noticed something that from what you guys describing, the young Michael, what they probably did is what they did with the Hulk. They took Lou Ferrigno voice, Mark Ruffalo voice, and they blended together. So you have a distinct voice. And what they did, they probably took young Michael, the actor, Michael as it was a performer, and then Jafar, and they blended together. So when they did the transition to the adult Michael, it won't be off-putting. So in your head, you say, I hear this a certain way. And then when they transfer from young Michael, when they went into adult Michael, it was with the off the wall era. Is that it was there?
It went to the off the wall era.
Okay, so that means they didn't want to. That's why I was saying early. They probably did not want to rehash what we already knew part from that Jackson miniseries.
Yeah, the teen, like the teen, the preteen. They skipped that.
Yeah, it would have been redundant because Willie, what's his name? Willie what's his name?
Wiley Draper.
Wally Draper.
Okay. Wally Draper did such a phenomenal job at that teenage part. When you think about Michael, you're going to go back to him. It's so because I figured a movie wouldn't rehash certain things. It would be redundant. It would we've seen this already.
And then people would be comparing in this
society.
Exactly.
And one thing go ahead. I'm sorry.
One thing that I like too is the aspect, and it was some things that happened in this movie that was unintentionally funny and comedic. Like it wasn't meant to be funny. Like a part going back to the Off the Wall era where Michael is talking to Quincy, you know, wanting to do his own album and everything like that. And Michael is sitting down and he's talking to those two guys. He says, I really want to do this album, but he says, I got to basically contend with my dad. So I was wondering, instead of me telling my dad that I want to do this album, I'm going to send you two over to Havenhurst and sit down in his office and tell him for me that I want to do this album. So it's stuff like that was like unintentionally funny, because if you watch the movie how it plays out, you have no other choice but to laugh. But it just shows you right there that even Michael at that age of 20, because it's in 78, he's 20 now, he still is like having this timidness of approaching his dad about doing things on his own, even though he's at a level of success where he shouldn't even have to get, you know, that much permission. But you got to think, at that time he was still managed by his dad. So he just couldn't go ahead and do a whole album without Joe knowing. Otherwise, that's like a breach of contract, because everything's supposed to be for the Jacksons. It's not supposed to be for Michael Jackson. So he's like, Michael Jackson's name is not on the contract. The Jacksons is. You are part of the Jacksons. You don't have any legal right to go and do your own thing without my permission. So I thought that was like an unintentionally funny thing. It ended up happening, but Joe basically said he can do whatever he wants after hours, but from 9 to 5, his ass is mine. Like, that's basically what he said in so many words. And it's funny because 9 to 5 is a famous line in Off the Wall. I said, what are the odds that, you know, that happened the way that it did? Yeah. And they were even dropping little foreshadowing things. The amount of times that Neverland is mentioned and shown in this movie, we all know what that leads to. You know, that's Michael's home that he built, you know, on all that land with some of the funds he got from that bad tour, and that's what he built Neverland Ranch with. That's another thing. If they do a part 2, I'm sure they're going to cover that.
Yeah,
I said we've seen Neverland, but I would like to see him actually purchasing the land and starting the building and the construction of it, because we always saw what it looked like after it was done. We never saw the construction and the building of it. So maybe that's something that they can do, and that would be something new for us to see going into the sequel. But that's, you know, that's just something I, you know, kind of wish.
Well, the house was already there, Torian. He just added stuff to it.
Okay,
yeah, the house was already there.
Okay, yeah. We're adding the Ferris wheel, all the attractions, of course. The
attractions,
animals. Oh, we got to talk about the animals. I saw it. We got to talk about the animals. We got to talk about the animals.
I saw a clip with the scene where Michael had the nose job. He said for his, I guess his sign or something. And I know Coleman had that makeup on, but the face he made when he said, "Michael, what did you had this?" I laughed because he like his face dropped when he said, "What did you do, Michael?" And he said, "I had surgery with the cap on." And it was funny how Coleman that scene, how he was standing by the door and his face looked. I couldn't help but laugh.
That's one thing. That's another unintentional funny thing about this movie is Coleman Domingo's facial expressions on a lot of the things. A lot of times when he was shocked or in disbelief, his facial expression spoke through every single time, and it was like yeah, like especially at the very
end. You know, it probably had to makeup on it.
Yeah. Oh,
did they focus on his business?
His what?
I'm sorry.
You said
did they focus on his business? Michael was ruthless when it came down to business.
They kind of did touch on that. They did kind of touch on that. Especially when it came to the MTV part.
Okay, because they said when he took off the performer and got into the businessman part, they said he was ruthless. They say he did his business. Like, no, we're not going to do that.
You can see it. Like, for instance, when he had that meeting, it was a meeting that he had because that's when he went to go get and hire John Bronca, who we know today is the head of his estate. He went in that boardroom, mind you, he's there. Nicole, you should probably notice this as well. All the guys that was in that boardroom all had a glass of water. Michael Jackson had a glass of orange juice. For those who don't know, orange juice was his go-to drink. That's something that Michael loved to drink, was orange juice. When he was sitting in that room, it was like no smiles. He had his aviator glasses on. He's hearing them talk, but he could hear the BS from them. He was like, okay, let's basically get down to it. Who do I talk to in this room that's going to make me the biggest star in the world? And that's when John Bronco was talking about he managed the Beach Boys and everything like that. And Michael said, I like the Beach Boys and everything like that. Michael unintentionally made all those people get up and leave that room and made John Bronco stay in that room. And he says, okay, you want to manage me? Michael took off his aviator glasses and looked him dead in his eye. And he basically said, okay, well, here's your first order of business. I want you to fire my dad quickly. So that's where the whole sending of fax from John Bronco saying, I hereby on Michael Jackson's behalf terminate you, Joe Jackson, as my manager, signed John Bronco. That part was crazy. He said, how fast you want it to happen? ASAP, quickly. That was Michael said. He said, quickly. He looked him dead in his eyes, said, I want it done today. And that fax went to Havenhurst that day, signed JB, and said that he is fired as his manager. And the thing is, Joe was there playing his guitar, and that stopped him dead in his tracks. You had Catherine and LaToya in the other room getting ready. I guess they were going to some kind of event. He busted through the room. He was like, LaToya, get out of here. Do you see what your son did? He just fired me on a piece of paper.
I saw online. It was like a sentence on a white piece of paper.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Imagine using all that paper just for a letterhead and one line and another line for your initials and a signature. That's it. Use all that paper just for one line.
You know what? I don't know if they probably put this in the movie. I don't think they would, but it's a scene where Michael and his brothers on stage, and I don't know what the hell Marlon was doing. That dance he was doing, and Michael stopped like.
Oh, you mean? Oh, you talking about the body roll?
Yeah.
I would say they did not put the body roll in the movie. I was like, if they put that body roll in this movie, I am going to laugh so hard. I'm gonna laugh so hard if they put that body roll in there.
But you know what? When I saw the actors that played the brothers, it's older. They got close to looking like the actual brothers.
Whoever they cast to play Marlon, whoever they cast to play Marlon did a good job because he looked just like Marlon on the Victory Tour. That was the one that really got me out of all the brothers. I was like, he looks just like Marlon Jackson.
Yeah.
The casting was phenomenal with this movie.
The casting was really good.
I think why the casting was the way you had a black director.
Antoine Fuqua, yep.
You had, because remember, even Denzel explained this. He said Martin Scorsese could have directed Schindler's List. Steven Spielberg could have directed Goodfellas, but it was not be the same. You would like when black families, we know on Sunday morning when your mama had your sister here with that hot comb, you recognize that smell. You remember that popping sound. Nuance. That's why to this day, Malcolm X triggers us because they focus on nuance. And I think having a black director recognize nuance. Because even the clip I saw of Lorenz Tate playing Quincy Jones, he didn't say nothing. His facial expressions were subtle. He said everything without saying nothing. That's just me seeing clips. This is why they said Jafar, when he embodied his uncle, he may not have had all them years with his uncle, but his father and brothers did. His aunties. And he has old family videos. So he picked up on nuance because we've seen a lot of people do impressions of Michael Jackson dancing. Are there some things that Jafar probably couldn't get nitpick in there, but he's the closest on screen.
Yeah, he did a very good job. Like he trained for, I think this is like for like a couple years
to
get everything right.
He's to bleed training so hard.
Yeah,
and then his voice sound like that. That shit is scary. Because everybody that do characters of Michael Jackson is them doing the character of Michael Jackson.
Right. He became him. He literally became him. That's intense work and dedication right there. It was some other stuff that happened in there. Speaking of the animals, when we first meet Bubbles for the first time, I thought that was so funny because he made the whole family get up almost at the crack of dawn. And here you see this truck come up in there, and it was like, Michael, what did you get now? And all you see is the animal person come out, and he's holding the hands of this furry little creature with a diaper on. And I don't know about you, Nicole, but every woman in my audience went, "Oh, he's so adorable. This little CGI chimp."
It's like a lot of people like just kind of laughed, like, "Oh."
Yeah, like that's how when I saw it again today, people were like, "Oh, he's so adorable," and they was, and then the facial expressions of his whole family, like they was like, "Oh God, not another animal." Because mind you, by this time, it's a whole exhibit going on at that house. You got giraffes, you got snakes, now you got a chimp. And it's like it's just absolutely insane, like, you know. But it was so crazy. But that little subtle dig that he made to his to Joe was funny as well. When he was like, he know, like, chimps know, you know, how to sense danger and everything like that. And when he said it, he looked Joe dead in his eye when he said it. That smile went away. I'm telling you, Michael Jackson Michael Jackson was an undercover comedian. Like, he was low key, like, funny, like had jokes on the low, even when he wasn't trying to be funny. He had his shady moments, and he showed it a few times in this movie.
Well, they said he was a practical joker. Remember that when he made to shut down supermarkets, we go shop, people wear disguises. They said Michael will go out, be around people in movie lines. They didn't even know he was in makeup. And we've seen all the videos where he put on, he had the, what's the Baker, whatever his name is, they did all this makeup.
Rick Baker. Rick Baker. He did the makeup for Thriller.
For Thriller and for those subsequent videos. And then I have a question, but they didn't get to that part. What, 88? They didn't get to the smooth criminal part, did they? Or they just focused on bad.
It ended on the bad. It ended on the bad tour.
Okay, but they didn't get to the smooth criminal part of it. Okay,
no.
Okay. I'm looking forward to watching it, guys, because, like I said, it seemed like they focused on Michael, the human being.
Yes,
they did. That's what they humanized him. Yeah, they basically humanized him.
But I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with you. I am concerned about when I go to the movie how Joe Jackson is he a character in the movie? Is he over like the mustache twirling villain? Because from what I saw, that's what it seemed like it was.
And it does give that. It does have that. What is it? What they call the protagonist?
Yeah, the protagonist. They have drama. They say you gotta have
basically. Basically, like the one thing that I think a lot of people in the audience is, because I'm gonna put it like this: it got to a point where, and Nicole, it probably happened to your audience too, that after a while, every time Joe popped up on screen, the audience like, "Oh God, here he go again." It's like, here he is. Like it got to that point. But the part that I think people probably really became to the point where they hated him was after the Pepsi incident. Because of course, you know, they showed the Pepsi incident, the burning of the hair, and when they get to the hospital and the doctors come in and telling him he got 3rd-degree burns and he's going to need to recover, Joe is like letting all the stuff the doctors say go in one ear and out the other, and says no, he needs to hurry up and get back on that stage because, you know, we got to do this. It kind of reminds you of how Ike was with Tina when she was in the hospital and saying no, we got to speed this recovery process up because we got tour dates. It kind of reminded me of that. And when he was like, you know, saying they pretty much try to rush the process and everything like that. The thing is, like Catherine said in the movie, Michael didn't even want to do the Victory tour. He wanted to do a Thriller tour. And I'm still like, even though I wasn't born during that time, the world was deprived of what could have been an amazing tour, an amazing 2 tours. Because Michael actually wanted to do a tour for Off the Wall too, but then Joe intervened and made them do that live tour. Then he wanted to do a Thriller tour, and then he intervened again and made them do the Victory tour. After that, when Michael said, I'm gonna get on that stage on that last night of that Victory tour, and he said, I'm gonna fire my dad, basically in so many words, and he did. So if y'all watch the Victory tour, the last show when he's up there and he's tapping his foot, doing that little foot moment, and he's saying that this is the last tour, that's the moment he basically fired. You know, he basically told Joe, this is it. I'm leaving the group. This is it. That was that moment right there. See, looking at it back then, you wouldn't know the dynamic of what that was. You thought, oh, he's officially just breaking away and he's going to do his own thing. But with the movie filled in the gap that he was telling his dad, who was looking off stage, and telling him that I'm leaving the group. This is it. And I'm about to go do my own thing. And then that's when Michael kind of went away for a couple years. And when he came back, he was in his bad era. So the movie did fill in the gap in that aspect of what happened on the last night, on the final night, because Joe wanted to do the whole Victory tour internationally, and I looked at the tour dates for Victory. There was a long tour domestically. That was a very lengthy tour. It would like that tour lasted at least 6 months. That's a long time to tour. That is a very long time to tour. And Michael was like, "Okay, you're basically doing stuff behind our back, and you're not letting us do our own thing. So I'm going to get in front of all these people and say, this is the last tour. This is the last one, the final night, unexpectedly, because I don't even think his brothers knew he was going to do that. He said, that's it. This is it. And so that was Michael's time. That was Michael's time to officially break free from all of it, and it worked.
So basically saying Michael finally grew into his own manhood.
Yes. At that point, that was his emancipation moment right there. I would say. Go ahead.
I do want to say, I feel like although in the movie it's like that, it's like the Joe versus Michael. Someone said antagonist. It's kind of like he's trying to break free from this and be his own, artist. I think maybe in part 2, they may give Joe some grace because, like Harvey has said at the beginning, towards the end of Michael's life, he was looking for Joe. So we might get that. It might come back full circle.
It can be exactly. It could be a full circle moment.
Yeah.
In an interview when Invincible came out, that nobody liked to play, he said, "You know what? I understand why my father did what he did." He admitted that it was obvious. And I think, Nicole, you probably played it on one of your old videos because me and you talked about this before. That he gave an interview and he said, "Now I understand why my father the way he was." And then Michael even said I'm paraphrasing. He was a man of his era. We have to remember Joe Jackson was born in 1928. He grew up in Arkansas. He didn't leave Arkansas till he was 12. He went to Los Angeles with his father to live, and then he moved to East Chicago, Indiana. You have to understand, he was in an era where black men couldn't be men. They was always emasculated in some way, and he probably felt that his home was his castle. Like I said, I'm not trying to excuse because remember, I don't know Joe, never knew Joe Jackson. His children, his wife knew who he was.
And they signed off on it. There's some of them are producers on the movie. So it's like
they know he's not here anymore to say anything. But at the same time, Joe Jackson was alive when he did that miniseries. So he probably said, "You know what? I'll go along with it. I'll be the big bad guy because I did whoop your ass. I did whoop you into shape." But people need to understand, Joe Jackson had a vision. He got his kids to that point. People keep wanting to say Donna Ross, but it wasn't true. It was actually Gladys Knight that was trying to get but because Barry Gordy was banging Donna Ross, she gonna get. We true Jackson fans, we know the stories. But my thing is that I'm glad that this movie is making money. I'm glad a new generation is listening to this man's music and not the bullshit that the press. Because I'm telling you, I was watching Inside Edition of that. I want to throw something on my TV. Why are they talking about this? Why are they talking about this? Why are they talking about Bubbles? And I'm like, what the?
It's like, what do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean? Why weren't they talking about Bubbles? Bubbles was in the movie. Bubbles had quite a few scenes in the movie too. Like I think the first time we saw Bubbles, when he first got him,
they were trying to insinuate when I was a kid around that Michael Jackson may have had a bestiality type relationship.
Oh God.
I'm kid you not. If you went into a supermarket in the 1980s, all them tabloids, why is he hugging on Bubbles like that? What's going on? Is Michael Jackson and Bubbles having an inappropriate relationship? Wacko Jacko. That's where all that stuff started. If they was to do a sequel, I would love them to address how he felt trapped. This man can even go out and we take going to the grocery store for granted. We go into the store, buy a pack of ground beef. We like, what big deal?
I'm glad you said that. That actually got alluded to in the movie when he and Bill Bray, who was a security, went to the store to get some toys. And one person noticed him and was like, "Can I ask, can I get an autograph?" then one person turned into like almost a small horde of like young kids and their parents, and asking for an autograph. So that, I think it was at that point right there where Michael was starting to notice, okay, I'm starting to have even more fame away from my brothers and everything like that. Because a lot of people don't realize that when they were with the Jackson 5, Jermaine was the one all the girls went after. Like, he was the one that a lot of the girls loved to go and chase after. Michael was kind of like an afterthought. But when Michael was on his own, that's when it happened. And they even showed it too when he was coming back from the store. It was a whole bunch of fans outside of the Havenhurst gate. One even almost broke away from security trying to run and chase the car to get to the gate. So that's like, that was showing the early on stages, and then it's crazy like how it jumps forward and you get into the Thriller era, and now it's like a whole sea of people. And I wanted to talk about that, Nicole, because going back to what Harvey was asking about with the business stuff, with the MTV thing, as you all know, MTV at one point in time did not play any black artists on there. So they had to go to Walter Yetnikoff, who was the head of CBS at the time, to basically tell them, like, look, Michael has the biggest selling album right now. He has a couple of videos out, Billie Jean being one of them. But we want this song and this video played on there because you don't know what it can possibly do. And Waltner was kind of like standoffish against it because he didn't think he was actually going to actually talk to the person over at MTV. So he ended up calling, he told his secretary to call him. They called him, got on the phone, had a conversation, and said, look, and this is a real conversation, by the way, that he had. Look, if you do not play Billie Jean on MTV in the next 10 minutes, I am pulling all of my biggest artists off of your network. And then he started name dropping a whole bunch of big pop stars at the time. And before you know it, Billie Jean was on there. So Michael Jackson, don't think that this man was soft because he was soft spoken. This man was about his business. Like, he knew what he was doing. And remember the line he said, Nicole, he said, I'm a black artist. I'm so glad that they put that line in there. He said, I am a black artist that makes music for everybody. And it stands so true to this day because his music literally touches everybody of any age everywhere. Even if you aren't a fan of Michael Jackson, you know that name when you hear it. You know the face when you see it. You know the dance moves. Like, there's nowhere on this earth that no one knows who this man is. It is unborn children who know who Michael Jackson is. It just is what it is. Like I said, he was a one-to-one artist. And then when he looked out his window, he saw him get on top of that car, and it was all in people screaming, to see him and everything like that. So yeah, like I said, Michael Jackson, he was him.
Yeah. I'm sorry, because I'm glad I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just agreeing.
I want to point this out. Michael Jackson did something that no other artist or entertainer did. You go from a child. How many child stars could transition into adulthood and become a mega star? Remember, Michael said, I want to be famous over the world. He had a notepad where he said, this is what I'm going to do. And he did it. He willed it. This dude, this video's now that's popping up now where you hear his regular voice, and he had a deep voice. He wasn't soft. That was an act. They say he did that voice to save his throat. But when there's times when you see Mike like, hey, don't do that. Hey, don't do. You be like, what the hell? And I wonder if they will. I'm serious. I wonder if the sequel would ever focus on how Michael confronted black dudes that thought they was tough. Because it was a rumor. I don't know. Maybe Nicole can help me, or Torian. Didn't Michael get in front of Tupac or somebody and check them for messing with one of Quincy said, don't you do that or something? And
that actually turned out to be fake. The fight, the Tupac fight.
But he was sort of like, hey, you're not going to insult one of, I think, Quincy Jones' daughters or something. And I think it was some way they was doing something. He said something, and they said Michael stepped in and said, hey, you're not going to do that. I'm not going to allow you to do that. Now, I did hear different versions of these stories, but a lot of people said that Michael was not who you thought he was. Like will.i.am, I had to give will.i.am credit because he could have milked the stuff that him and Michael did before Michael died when he went over to Scotland. And to this day, he haven't released none of that stuff. And he said why? Because he said he didn't want to profit off this man's death.
I can actually bring up a time when he actually did try to stop a beef. It was the beef between 50 Cent in the game. Y'all know that beef that 50 Cent in the beef had, the 50 Cent in the game had back in 05 or something like that. It said that Michael Jackson had called the game and basically tried to squash the beef between them because he basically saw the talent between the both of them, and he probably didn't want to see another Michael Jackson Prince fiasco type of thing happen. Even though we know what that turned out to be, it was pretty much fake. But the beef between 50 Cent and the game was very much real, and apparently, according to the game, because he did an interview on Club Shay Shay where he talked about it, he said that he and 50 was so much encapsulated in the beef that not only did the beef continue, but the game basically respectfully declined to do it, and he hung up on Michael Jackson after the conversation, and the beef continued. And he looks back on it now and wishing that he had not did that. So yeah, that was the beef that he was trying to break up.
Yeah, because I heard Michael. They said Michael. I know, like we hear stuff about Prince now, that those two brothers was actually behind the scenes trying to protect really cool. Black artists. Like, you ever touch on Michael buying his catalog and giving Little Richard and them they rights back? Did they ever touch on that, or they alluded to it? They just glossed over it.
They didn't touch on the rights part. They didn't even touch on, him getting or acquiring the Beatles catalog. Now that's something I kind of wish they would have had in there, because that was a major deal back then. That was a huge business move. Now maybe if they go into the part 2 and they talk about him acquiring Sony Publishing, they can bring up about the Beatles catalog, because that would be an appropriate time to bring that up. So maybe if they do that can be a callback to that.
So the reason why I bring that up, because a lot of people don't know that Michael Jackson was trying to buy Marvel Comics before Disney bought
it. He was. He met with Stan Lee. Yep, he did back in the 90s.
Somebody was in the meeting, a person, hey, Michael, you should buy Marvel. It'll be a great to your portfolio. Oh, you really do think so? I really like your characters. And even Stan Lee was like, yo, Michael Jackson was about just think about this black man bought the damn catalog, and you about to buy Spider-Man and Captain America.
Could you imagine if that actually happened? Could you imagine? And you know what's so crazy? I bet if Stan Lee was alive, he would have probably looked back on that moment and wished that he had sold it to Michael, because what ended up happening years later, Marvel ended up having to pretty much file for bankruptcy. Thank God Blade came along and saved it. I mean, for as much as they could save it. But I kept saying to myself, imagine if Michael would have bought it, it would not have fallen into bankruptcy.
And people don't realize that Michael Jackson was making money off, I think, Taylor Swift, because all under that company, under Sony. What do they call it? What's the company name?
It was ABE. Is it something like that, or something like that? Something like that. Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen. I didn't know Bruce Springsteen was under that. They was talking about all these well-known artists. This is why they hated Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that Sony Publishing was one of the biggest music deals ever in music history. Like, this man had over 50%. He said, I don't want half, I want over half. And his petty self, let me just go ahead and get that extra 1%, so now I can have over half. You can have the other 49%. But I want this fit. He said, I want the 48%. I want this 51. You can have the 48%.
That's why they hated brother. That brother.
That's why they didn't promote his Invincible album. He got up there. If they incorporate that part about him calling Tommy Mottola the devil, I will stand up and give a standing ovation by my damn self. If they incorporate that into the second part, I would do, because at first, if you look at that video, initially he wasn't going to say anything about that man, but then the audience baited him into it and said, go ahead and say what you want to say, just say it. And he said, okay, I'll say it. And he said, Tommy Mottola is the devil. And everyone went crazy, like, oh my God, he said it.
Al Sharp that was standing next to him, like, don't say it.
And he said it. And you know what I think prompted him to say it also as well, because Tommy Mottola has always been seen as a shady person. But I think what people really started to see how he really was because, remember, he was married to Mariah Carey at one point. And people started, and I think that through that marriage, people started to see the horns form with him. I mean, I think they were always there, but I think that's what it was. Because one thing he said in that speech was that he had got a call from her where she was crying on the other end of the phone. Like, she's like, I feel like a prisoner in this marriage. This man is basically holding me hostage in this contract. I'm trying to get out of it. What is going on? So she confided in him. And I think that's also what prompted him. And then, you know, he knew the risk because he knew that by saying that it was going to affect his album sales for Invincible, which, by the way, is a phenomenal album. It is so many great songs on that album, but we know why they undercut it, because he went up there and he said what he said. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's not a lot of artists nowadays that will get up there and say what they said about the head of the record label that they are signed to. Because remember, he was signed to Sony. He had to see Tommy Mottola a lot, at least hear his name. But for him to get up there while he's still signed to this label and said it's not like he was not with the label anymore and he just flat out said it. He was still attached to the label saying this on a public forum in New York in front of a sea of it was a lot of black people that were there. And he said that you can go and look it up online right now if you want to. It's right there. Like, this man did not hold back. That's why people said, y'all better stop talking about Michael Jackson like y'all crazy. This man was from Gary, Indiana. He came from humble beginnings, and Joe Jackson was his daddy. That's all you need.
You know what?
Right
in essence, Tommy Mottola and them was working for Michael Jackson. If you really think about it, because
he was like their prize bull.
He was the prize because he controlled everybody kept saying Michael Jackson was broke. When I used to hear that, I used to laugh. I'm like, no, he ain't broke. He may be liquid broke, but he rich person broke. He may not have access to the money right there, but I want to be Michael Jackson broke. Let me be Michael Jackson broke. Remember, they was Beatles songs. He was making money off the Beatles songs and commercials. Mm-hmm. Think about that. When people found out that, Michael was getting money off this artist, that artist, damn. And I hope, I doubt they do this, but it was, I don't know if you guys remember, Dick Gregory and Mr. Farrakhan basically alluded to at a certain point, Michael started to get scared to eat certain food and drink because of him, that catalog and stuff. They said that's because that's when Michael started to really isolate himself. And then when those charges came along, that put him on an island to himself. Yeah. And I want people, and I know we moved a little bit away from that. Go back to that trial. Who was standing by Michael? His daddy. They supposed to have a bad relationship, but his daddy was next to him, his brothers, his sisters. They stayed together. And it seemed like people are mad that the family is still out there together. So they wanted to, Janet and Jermaine, or parents in the family. It's like they want to divide that family because they don't want a cohesive black family to have a legacy. Because even though Michael and Janet was the stars of that family, but let's just keep it real, the other siblings were stars in their own right. Let's just keep it real. Remember, forget Rebe came out with Centipede. Then she came out with a song right before 9/11 when she was dancing. Like, wait, that's Rebe doing that? Damn. You know what I mean? Not LaToya, that's a different story, but okay, fine. but you know, it's impressive to think that a man who's been deceased since 2009 every year is getting new fans, and his music is still being played, and people are still mixing his songs, and you still like, damn, I never heard this. Oh, damn, I forgot about that song. Mm-hmm. Or damn, I'm gonna play this at my birthday party. I'm gonna play this at my wedding. You know, that's impressive, and I think that's why they don't want this movie to succeed. Because if it succeeds the way I think it's gonna succeed, you didn't put a lot in everything people said.
Here's the thing, though. They would want to hope this movie succeeds because it's a lot riding on it. Because this is going to set the tone for how a biopic should be, or to be depicted as, you know, going forward. Because those biopics are not done every day. It's not like your everyday traditional movie. Like they come out every blue moon. So it's like when you have that one, it has to set a bar before the next one comes, and it has to set another bar. So that's why you would want to hope that this movie does very well, because I'm gonna be honest, I needed to do well. I want that part 2. Nicole, I'm sure you want that part 2. Harvey,
Oh
when you
yeah.
see it, you want to want that part 2 too, because I want to see how I said that this first part is the celebration. We're embracing it. For a lot of people, it's very nostalgic and everything like that. We're singing the songs and everything like that. Because I told someone right now, when that part 2 comes up, you gonna have to pass that Kleenex box down the aisle like it's the collection plate at church, especially when it gets to 2009, because we all know what that is. Because I'm telling you, it ain't gonna be a dry eye in that room. We're gonna be hearing people sniffing and crying and boo-hooing. It's gonna be like June 25th, 2009 all over again. And then when they had the funeral a couple weeks later. So yeah, it's gonna be that's gonna be the controversial and emotional part. Now, this part right here is where I'm gonna say, even though I loved how Jafar did in this, with this one, he did phenomenal. But the second one, that's when the acting chops, he's gonna have to really dig deep into this one, because this was at a time in Michael's life where he was dealing with controversy, scandal, allegations, name calling.
Did you hear
racism, a whole bunch of stuff all
did
at
y'all
one
hear,
time.
Torian?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, did y'all hear with the initial part 2, or them getting into the allegations and stuff? They had like the police cars, the raids. They actually made him strip.
Oh
like,
yeah, I knew about
serious.
that. Oh yeah, I remember
like,
that.
Damn,
they made
him.
Yeah, when they went and they did when they went into the Neverland Ranch and they went and did a raid, they made him do a whole strip search. Like, they made him strip down to nothing, and they took pictures of his body. They probably did cavity searches, everything. Like,
they did, because he came out and did how when they usually do announce his videos back in the day. He had it on the networks where he was in a red shirt. And he said, my penis, my buttons, all this stuff. But before I get that point, I want the sequel. I want to see if Jafar can do that. Remember the Times dance sequence.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite choreographed dances.
Or that one with Iman, that dance he do his hands. You know what I'm talking about, when at the climax he's doing his hands like he's crossing it. If he do that, the dude is God.
Yeah. Remember the Time is one of my favorite choreographed breakdowns ever. It's so, and shout out to Michael Jackson, because initially, for those who don't know, he wanted to make a movie about ancient Egypt where the Egyptians were depicted as they were, but of course they wasn't about to let him do it. So he said, okay, I'm gonna do it, but I'm going to turn it into a song, and it's going to have an ancient Egyptian theme. It was the thing of basically all the people that was depicted. You had Iman, Eddie Murphy, Magic Johnson. You had even Tiny Lister, who played Debo, in there as well. You had
last project. He was one of the dancers. Big Lance was in there. That was John Singleton, the director.
The director.
When people say that Michael didn't want to be black, I don't think so, because I don't know how black you can get to do that. Remember the Times.
Listen, Michael Jackson was the lightest person in that video. He was the lightest person in that video.
And let me say this: when Michael did a few videos, he had a love interest. It's usually with black women.
It was black women, because because Iman, in Remember the Time, Naomi Campbell in The Closet. Yeah, like a lot of they were melanated. They were melanated women for the most part.
Only one he had a white one was when he was married with Lisa Presley.
And that was his wife.
So people question this man's loyalty, but he bought the rights and gave Little Richard his control of his catalog back
for free.
He
did not, for free.
And also made sure that Sammy Davis Jr. was always acknowledged, because back in the 80s when they used to do TV shows, he went up. Michael was notoriously at that time. He was shy to go out. They say he developed sort of stage fright at certain points. He went on Arsenio Hall show. People forget about that. He went and did a special with Sammy Davis Jr. And then remember that famous thing on BET where he came out for James Brown and surprised.
Oh yes. So listen, Listen, that moment right there will forever live in several corners of my brain. I remember when that happened and watching that in real time as a kid, as a teenager, and watching that, and he came out there, and I jumped so high, I thought I was gonna go through the roof. And that's the magic of Michael Jackson, because at that time, that was the time of tall tees, do rags, big chains, baggy jeans, and Air Force Ones. You had them guys that was wearing that in there, jumping up and down like they were doing box
like little girls. They
were doing box squats.
Like little girls. Tough rappers. 50 Cent. Oh, I think it was either 50 Cent or one, but oh my gosh. Like, damn, dude.
Another moment too that they could actually put into a part 2, and I don't think it's talked about enough, was when Michael Jackson showed up at Summer Jam in 2002, which is mind you, Summer Jam is a hip hop event, and that was the one where Jay-Z had went off stage for a brief moment, and a bunch of other people was on stage, and he came back on stage, and the crowd went crazy because Michael Jackson was there. He just came there and just stood there and just said hi, or just a couple of words, threw up the peace sign and left. Just in that moment alone, that's why they said Michael Jackson is the original aura. Because just his mere presence, he doesn't have to say anything. He just shows up and people go crazy.
He was on a award show when Biggie was on there, and Biggie was going to go try to give him a regular white man handshake. Michael went and gave him
he gave him the dap.
Yeah, yeah, he did that. Let me say this. Michael had a skin condition that we've seen a lot of black people have,
and that was touched on in the movie. Like, I'm glad that they did touch on that in the movie.
They mentioned that Cicely Tyson was the one suggesting wearing that glove, but they left that out.
No.
Okay.
That out.
She the one that, because there's a picture on the internet where he's laying in the bed and you actually see his hand. He's on a phone where you can see how his hand was discolored. And she suggested put the glove on. Everybody thought it was just a fashion statement. No, he didn't want nobody to see his hand like that.
Yeah, I knew that. I did learn that a few years ago.
That Motown special, you can see the makeup on how irritated his face was because it was red. If you look at a good copy of it, you can tell he's having skin issues. There's one video where he's on a slide going down to the pool, and you can see the discoloration on his chest.
And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that the reason why his face looked like red like that on his cheeks is Michael Jackson had lupus.
Yeah.
And the redness on his face was the flare up from the lupus.
See, and he said a lot of times he performed, his knees and ankles was bothering the hell out of him, but he was still hitting them spins, falling down to his knees, because they even alluded this in the miniseries. My fans pay for this experience. Like in the Super Bowl, we wouldn't have a Super Bowl halftime show if it wasn't for how Mike, because remember, Living Color kicked the ratings for the halftime show. They had to go out and get Michael Jackson, and he the reason why today is a big thing.
It's a halftime show.
They want to boss. So if they do a movie, they're going to have to address a lot. And like you say, Jafar going to reach down and pull out, because he's going to have to get to that part of Michael where he was on the island to himself. Because I sometimes think about, like, what would it be to be that wealthy, that famous, and you couldn't do the simple things or share yourself with the people closest? Because let's be honest, everybody in Michael later years betrayed him. They used him. They betrayed him. Like that Rabbi, I gotta be careful. That guy, Rabbi Shmuley.
Family, friends, and all that nonsense. They're trying to smear him.
Lisa Bloom, Diane Diamond, Maureen Orth, all of them.
Wade Robson, we gonna throw him up in there.
That bastard Ray Robinson and that other dude, they just
James Safechuck.
Chuck, and I still can't give it that
fraud ass the Casios. Them, they're the latest edition.
Yeah, the Casio family's the latest.
I hope they do it from his perspective, because Tito, and a lot of people don't realize, everybody made jokes about Tito, but Tito said that him and Michael used to talk a lot, and that's why, if you notice, before Tito died, when Tito did interviews, you could see that anger well up in his face, and they would ask stupid questions about Michael. That was his little brother. And when they said something about his father, he said, let me stop you right there. Because people forget about that Jackson TV show on A&E when Tito was in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
He stopped. He said, that is my brother. That is my father. We are family. We do not, he said, we do not attack each other. Now, family's going to have their issues. We all have. We all going to have arguments and disagreements. I miss my mother and father, but there was times that I'm pretty sure I got on their nerve. I know they got on my nerve. But I would never, ever, ever betray my family. And that's what they want to see. Even Latoya has gotten on code in the last 20 years because she realized the man she was married to said, you know what, jump on this bandwagon. They said your brother's weird. That's why I had milked this.
Yep.
When Michael got so rich, he started buying music. Like Paul McCartney, hey, Mike, he's my friend. And then when Michael bought that, I can't stand the weird dude. He just betrayed me. I want them to see if they're going to address that shit. I want to see if they're going to address
it's a lot of ground that they can cover with this second part that doesn't have anything to do with 1993. I mean, we just listed off a whole bunch of things that could be talked about outside of 1993. It's a lot of things that can be, and not even just with that. Let's also talk about a lot of the philanthropy work that he did, because everybody knows Michael Jackson was a very giving person. He was very charitable. They even talked about it in this part right here in the movie with the burn unit. Like, we all know that was something he created. Like, he took the money that he got from the settlement with Pepsi from the accident, and he donated all of it to the burn unit in the hospital that he was staying in. It even showed the part where he was going to visit the different burn victims, which there's a very famous picture online where he's standing over the bed of someone who was badly burnt, and he's standing there with the cup on his head. He like, that's another thing I want them to talk about too, because he has been in the Guinness Book of World Records for being one of the most charitable philanthropic people ever to live, no matter what like avenue or career that they're in. He's given a lot of money to various charities. I think he's probably given more money to charities than his net worth was when he was alive. That's how much of a giving person is. I mean, talking about a person that would donate money from his tours to different various charities. He literally loved people. He loved helping people. He made songs about it. I mean, when he got Healed the World, Earth Song. Oh my God, Earth Song. That is such a powerful song, especially when he gets into that latter part when he starts yelling and you see the earth going backwards and fixing itself. I mean, who is doing that today? It's nobody doing this like that today. And if they are doing it, it's a Timu version, and we know who your inspiration was.
And people need to remember when HIV, before they had 80 treatments, not cures, but treatment. Remember that white boy, Ryan White, I believe?
Ryan White. Gone too soon. That's where the song came from.
They tend to forget that Michael was the first mega celebrity outside of Elizabeth Taylor that went into, now they be writing Elton John and them, because I see how they try to make like, it was Michael Jackson that humanized that teenager. I never forget, they don't even mention it anymore, which is sick to me. That need to be addressed. Michael did give a lot of money. Even when at his Neverland Ranch, he would be somewhere across the globe. He had told them to open up Neverland for the poor children, the sick children, make a wish. Nobody mentions that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why when I hear people talk about him, I'm like, you know what? Y'all full of it. Because all these other Hollywood celebrities that y'all worship, they only give a small thing because of a tax break. Michael, like you said, Troy, he was giving millions. He didn't have to do that.
He really didn't. He really did. Because could you imagine how much his net worth would have been while he was alive if he did not give, first of all, not give at all or not give as much? That's probably why, his net worth only hit a certain pinnacle while he was alive, because he kept giving a lot away. And that could have also been a strategic thing too, outside of course, the tax break that I know he got. But he was a very giving person because he came from humble beginnings. He was not really afforded a lot of things growing up. So he knew that he had a heart. Let's put that one. He had a very big heart to a world that it's crazy because he put out so much love to the world, and unfortunately the world didn't love him, embrace him back the same way, not in the way that it should have. That's why I was saying that he got more love overseas than he got domestically, and that is a fact. He was more loved internationally than he was in the States. But of course, people said that they loved him. But of course, after the fact that he's gone, now you love him that he's gone. I mean, but where was it all when he, was alive? Like for me, like growing up, when I would hear all this stuff about him, I for one never believed any of it. Maybe it's because I was a staunch fan and I didn't want to believe it. But then as I got older, I said a lot of this stuff that they're saying about him, just to me, does not make a lick of sense. Like something is just not adding up here. I mean, you did all these raids, you found nothing, then you take him to court again. Well, he goes to court this time in 2005. He's found not guilty of every single thing. You had the FBI, you probably had Interpol on him. You found nothing. There was nothing there.
I'm glad you brought that up because they did admit, I think maybe 2 years after he died, that the FBI had been monitoring him since his Off the Wall days. Mm-hmm. Think about Off the Wall came out, 78, 79, 80?
79, yeah.
So Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, was that, I forget.
Dangerous.
Then you had History. Then you had Invincible. You mean to tell me the FBI, they got all kinds of surveillance, couldn't find nothing on this man? That should be your tell right there. And if the amount of money Michael had, he be truly the monster they was trying to portray him, he could have dealt with Epstein, all these rich rifles, went and bought an island, went somewhere to a place and had his way with children if he was a truly pedophile.
Exactly.
What it was, the poor guy never had a childhood. And he do what rich people do that today, indulge. He had the money to indulge in things. Like, I got a question right now. Y'all know I'm a comic book fan, I'm a sci-fi fan, I'm a Superman fan. Am I weird for collecting and watching Superman stuff? Well, he like Peter Pan. Samuel Jackson like comic books. Is he weird? He's 70-something years old. She killed. I mean, think about it. They tried to criminalize this man because he was mega successful. And like Torian said, he got more love in European countries. You don't think they was mad when those white women was, oh my gosh, I'm coming to Michael. No disrespect, Nicole. I don't mean to be vulgar. But you know what I mean. Let's just keep it.
I mean, it's true.
And every time,
I mean, you saw how, like, for instance, like you saw them clips online, especially during Michael's more history tour. I think, like, they would let some of them girls come up on that stage, and they would be running up. They would be literally running up to the stage and leaping into this man's arm while he's trying to sing "We Are the World" or whatever ballad he was singing at that time, and hugging and grabbing onto their leg and his leg and everything. Like
I didn't even know Michael fired an actress when you know what's that way you make me feel, and she took a chance and kissed him.
Oh,
and she do that, and she did.
And she got fired. She got fired. She knew it was going to happen too, because they told her do not kiss him. Do not do it. Just as a matter of fact, I think they said don't even touch him. Just like do like a walk past him, kind of flirt with him, and then leave off. But she went up there, kissed him, threw a little sign up on the stage, like whatever, and walked off. And they said, "Okay, this is your last day." And I bet you Michael wasn't the one to fire her, because I bet he wasn't the one that told her to not do it. He was probably all for it, but the people on the tour said, "Now you got to go."
She was smiling when she did it. He was smiling when she did it, like, you actually gonna do this in front of everybody? And she walked away. You know when Michael Jordan did that thing when he shot the three, she did. I had to go for it. That was fun. And then the story about Michael Jackson and his cook. They said his cook caught her looking. She wore that white. You know how white uniform. If you're a lady, they tell you can't wear certain underwear because it shows up, right? They said Michael was sitting at the table with his kids eating dinner, and she was serving, and she was bent over. And Michael had his head looking at her rear, and she looked and he smiled at her. And I'm like, for y'all talking about a guy that y'all thought was gay, he sure had his way with women. I mean,
this is the thing that Michael was very private with his relationships. I will say it was one in particular, and it was the one where I think Stephanie Mills had talked about it, and some of you may have heard it, but people don't know that Michael Jackson and Stephanie Mills briefly dated for a time. Yeah, and she was talking about one day, I guess Michael invited her to his house, or she invited him to her house, or something like that. They was in close proximity with each other at some kind of dwelling. And long story short, she basically said that she like kissed him or somewhere and everything like that. And the radio host was like, kiss him where? She says, where do you think? And she said it so seductively. She's like, where do you think? And they were like, oh!
She said she saw cooking clean for him. She said she saw him in his drawers before. So I mean,
I think Stephanie Mills loved that man. You can tell by the story she told about him.
Michael Jackson, to this day, she is very protective, but she's also a realist. She said she think that he became so famous, he was isolated from everybody, and I think that's what hurt brother Michael. You had a bunch of yes people and opportunities around, like Barry Gibbs. This is surviving BG brother. Him and Michael was going to do a song together, and for whatever reason, never got released. I think it's
interesting that you said about the thing about the yes man, because Nicole can vouch for this. Out of everything that Joe Jackson said in this movie, and there was a lot that he said and did, the part where he was talking to Michael about wanting him to do this tour, he had said something to him in his room where he said, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what it is. And he says, you want to break away from the family and deal with the people out there like this complete strangers and everything like that. So basically what you're telling me is he said, you better be careful because you're going to run into a lot of yes men. That is a foreshadowing, because that's exactly the type of people Michael had around him later in life.
And that's why I said earlier, it might full circle back to Joe in a little bit more of a positive way, possibly. But yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I said for people who know the story, Michael did have a lot of yes men around him, unfortunately. I think because he was so used to dealing with Joe telling him no all the time. He was at the point, I need people to just tell me yes. I can't constantly keep hearing no, because it's going to remind me of my dad constantly telling me no and pulling these strings. Especially after I've worked so hard and jumped through so many hurdles and hoops to get away from him, do I want to deal with another version of him that's not him? So I think that's probably the reason why he did have those yes men around him. And Joe alluded to that. He's like, be careful, in so many words, because you're going to run into a bunch of yes men out there that's going to just say yes to everything that you do, and it's not going to be to your benefit. It's going to be to your detriment. And I'm telling you, in that moment right there, Michael looked like he wanted to rip the handle off that door and knock Joe over the face with it. He grabbed that door handle hard, like he was on it to just rip that thing right off the hinges and bop him right upside the head. So that was another part that stuck out to me. Nicole, one part I have to talk about was the making of Beat It, and the inspiration he had for the making of Beat It. When he was in the studio and he turned on the news and they were talking about the gang violence between the Bloods and the Crips at that time, that was at their peak. It was peak violence with them. And he had called and he had had an idea to have the Bloods and the Crips like all there. And when they got to the warehouse where they were at to practice for Beat It, they were all there dancing and having a good time and everything like that. And Michael came in and everyone just kind of stopped. That's just like the kind of magic this dude had. Like, he made gang members, like violent gang members, stop dead in their tracks. The one guy who, though, he said, he's like, hey, Michael, can I get an autograph? It's for my sister. We know that ain't for your sister. Hey, don't be scared to say, like, as a man, you want to have an autograph. You asking a man for an autograph, and he says, okay, I'll do all the autographs later and everything like that. And then they showed him practicing, the dance for Beat It and everything like that. And then after they do that, he goes and he looks at the gang members that are there and he said, you know what? I'm gonna do you one better. I want you all in my short film. And they just went crazy. So when y'all look at the Beat It video, that part where they get ready to do the dance in that warehouse when they're lifting the doors up, those are the gang members that Michael had in the video. So when you hear that Michael actually had real Crips and Bloods in that video, that was them right there in the background, not the dancers, but the ones that were just standing there just watching. They said, don't do anything, just stand there, look cool, and just watch them dance and do their thing.
But this,
and I want to say, I was just going to say, no, you're good. I was just going to say, it's just something about that particular scene, the Beat It scene with the dancers and him performing. Damn, that scene, I just saw Michael. I couldn't see Jafar. I
Yeah,
saw
you
Michael
exactly.
Jackson. It was so amazing. I'm like, oh my God. Am I looking at Michael? Am I looking at Jafar? That
Yeah,
was so
I
damn
was.
good. It was
I will
good.
say in the whole Thriller era that they
Mhm.
focused on, that was the most he looked like Michael.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean, the makeup
very.
department did their thing on the Thriller era. Like the part when he's in the studio trying to come up with a name for the album, when he's just sitting there, I'm like, I cannot be looking at Jafar Jackson. This is Michael Jackson. This is like the law, like the one that got frozen in ice somewhere, and they just they thawed him out and said, "Here, play yourself." Like it was like looking like right at him, and I like the process too because Quincy has said the record label says you should just call the album Michael Jackson. He said, "Nah, it's too egotistical." He's like I don't want to just call the album Michael Jackson. So I like that they showed the process of him trying to even come up with a name for the album. And I like that they showed that he was watching different horror flicks and sci-fi flicks because when they started showing that, I knew exactly where they were headed. And then when he looked at it, he was like, that's it. He took that Thriller name right there from the bottom of the pile and put it right there on that question mark. And then from there, it transitioned into the making of the Thriller video. That's when my audience, the people I wanted to go see, that's when they started clapping because they knew it was about to happen. So you could see them in the process of making the Thriller video, which, by the way, the actress that they had play Ola Ray is Antoine Fuqua's daughter.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's his daughter
And
who plays
also,
Ola Ray in that little small part right there.
Guys,
yeah, Mike Myers plays Walter Yetnikoff.
Yeah,
wow.
and I didn't even know that was him until someone told me. I said the makeup was that good. I did not know that was Mike Myers.
Wow. You guys mentioned something. Well, Nicole, you mentioned about Quincy Jones, or they say, or Tori about the name of the album Michael Jackson, and he said it was too egotistic. That puts to a lot that Quincy Jones was his lady used to say about the creation of that album. Mm-hmm. See, this is why you need stuff like this because you didn't necessarily get Michael's voice at that point, and it goes back to something we was talking about earlier. The gangs. This goes back to when I said he called out rappers, and then when he went to Brazil, crime literally stopped while he shot that video. You think about that. That's a lot of influence and power. That this is why they hate that brother. Even in death, they still hate him. You go to an area that was high crime in Brazil, and the people behind him was giving him protection was the cartels and stuff.
Yep.
They actually stopped fighting, and they was like fanboy and fangirl. If you watch the video in between, you see Spike Lee grab one of the women that tried to grab him through the scene. They kept it in the video.
Yep.
And some of the guys that were standing in the door frames, those were actual gangbangers.
Yeah, that just shows you how much respect Michael Jackson had all over the world. Like the people loved him. It just, it is. I mean, it is what it is. Like that's why I said you're not going to find another person. I don't even want to say a celebrity, just another human being like that probably ever again. And I don't think people should try to find it or find them. Like let it just be Michael. Like I said, I forgot what interview I was watching. Someone said there's Michael Jackson. And then there's everybody else. I said that's probably one of the truest statements I've ever heard, especially when it comes to like different celebrities, no matter what faction you're in. You know, one part they need to put in, and y'all gonna laugh when y'all hear this. If they do this, I'm gonna laugh too hard. They need to put in there about Michael Jackson being Agent M.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I still remember when I was watching that for the first time. He was like, Jay, he said, can I come back to MIB? He's like, I can be Agent M. Oh man, when I saw that, he's like, Jay, I can be Agent M.
I need to remind people he had his own cartoon with his brothers when they was kids. I got it on Blu-ray, the Jackson 5. Mm-hmm. Think about it. The man as a child had his own freaking cartoon. The family had a variety show back in the 70s. That was unheard for black folk. So Papa Joe did what he was supposed to do, but Michael and his sister, Michael took everything to the next level. And to this day, everybody's still trying to catch up to him. They would never do it. He always gonna have the best-selling album of all time. I mean, he'd still get more downloads than any other artist alive. I'm saying, and the man wrote his music. The man, he could play instrument, but he could use his voice. He said, "Let it simmer, let it simmer."
Oh yeah, he was a phenomenal beatboxer. Whenever I listen to the song "Stranger in Moscow" and I hear that little intro right there, that's all Michael beatboxing right there.
Yeah, he would do that. And then the man was an artist. He used to draw. There's so much you talk about this.
He had layers to him.
He wasn't
one dimensional.
Music.
I've always said that to the king of music. And might I add,
the king of pop.
And might I add, the King of Pop is only an abbreviation because the official title is the King of Pop, Rock, and Soul. That's the full title.
And they don't want to give him that proper moniker. You want to say that for Elvis Presley, who culture vultured black music. Because let me tell you something. Elvis couldn't dance like Michael. He watched Sam Davis Jr., Fred Astaire, Charlie Chaplin, Jeffrey Daniels, and Shalimar. You want to actually taught him. It's actually called the backslide. White people say he's doing a moonwalk. It's like he's walking on the moon. Okay, you got moonwalk. Okay, fine. Then Michael Jackson even said to perform with Usher, but he said Chris Brown was the next thing. And I think that's why they went after Chris Brown. Because Michael anointed him, said he's it. He's the next. Because remember when Chris Brown was on MTV doing Thriller, he was not exactly like Michael, but as close to Michael as you can get. And they said, there's not enough to get this big. No, hell no.
It's interesting that you brought up Usher and Chris Brown, because you know they're about to go on this big stadium tour. So that's very interesting that's about to happen. But could you imagine? Could you imagine if Michael Jackson, Chris Brown, and Usher just did a performance? It didn't even have to be something completely major. I mean, it would have been major to us, but imagine you have three generations. You have Michael of one generation, Usher of another, and Chris Brown of another. All like, and they just did like one big dance sequence. Oh my! They would have shut the internet down with that.
I can see it in my head now. Mike come out with the glove and the suitcase with the hat on, and he's pop locking, and then Usher come out dancing sideways, and then Chris Brown jump out. He do his. They all do that. Thriller, you know, they grab the crotch all three of them at the same time. So, they probably can do that now with that hologram.
With AI. That's probably as close. The AI is probably as close as you're going to get it.
Because this Michael estate has been sold, and they probably have to do a lot of rights. If I was over Usher and Chris Brown concert, that's what I would do as a tribute to Michael Jackson. Get that. Remember they was doing that digital fake on those stage, and everybody was saying, "Oh, that's too scary." Put Michael in the middle, and y'all all do the Thriller dance to do that thing. Everybody's heads explode. That's just me. That's how I think. But I just say this: I'm looking forward to seeing the movie. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's a ball of emotions because, like I said, it's not a linear movie. You're not just going to get one type of tone with it. It has drama. It has a little bit of comedy in there. It's going to be some tearjerker moments as well. It's crazy. You know what, Nicole? You want to know what part made me actually almost shed a thug tear? And it's crazy that even happened. It wasn't even the Pepsi incident. It was at the end of the movie where he transitions from the victory tour to the bad tour, because it was at that moment again, like that emancipation, like this was the build up to that. Like it was the build up to freeing himself from everything else and just doing his thing. And when he got out there, I'm sitting there saying to myself, I have watched the Bad video, listened to Bad so many times, never shed a tear for a song like Bad. That's not a song you would cry to. But here I am, eyes tearing up, and he's out there saying your butt is mine. I'm like, why is this happening right now? But for those who have seen the movie, because of what he had to go through to get to that point, that's what got me. Like I got chills a few times in this movie. The part where the Pepsi part came up, my heart literally started racing because I knew it was about to happen. When they was going into him performing Bad at the very end, when he was about to perform Bad at the very end, I even liked the part where he was performing Human Nature. That's one of my favorite songs, especially the live version
of that song. And I liked how they had at the end when he did the choreography with the light and doing the miming. I like that they kept that in there because that's a huge part of that performance.
Did they touch on Billie Jean at all?
Yeah. Yeah, when the Billie Jean part came up, that was again the MTV part, but they also did the Motown 25 part where he does the moonwalk for the first time.
That's the part. Okay, but you know what?
It's two parts that I Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say it's two parts that made me tear up. Of course, one, he was little and Joseph was, spanking him, and then the Pepsi. That when I first, I was like, oh my god, this is so sad. It's just I cried, and he was in the hospital.
You know what? You know what else? I think it probably got to you too because that was the beginning of his addiction to painkillers.
Yeah,
that was the beginning of right there. And he said in the movie how he doesn't like taking medicine because he probably knew what could come with it. And unfortunately, he had 3rd-degree burns to his scalp, and it touched the nerve. Like like that was bad. And they actually showed it in the movie. They actually showed the actual burn on his scalp, which was actually my first time seeing it. And you could actually see the nerve right there on his scalp. It it was crazy. Like you could see the nerve. That's how bad the burn was. And he was telling them about how the they was going to have to get a wig, like a piece to put right there, which we all know he eventually did do. And the thing is, he never truly recovered from that day.
No, they said he was always in pain.
He was always in pain.
Always in pain. And I take nerve medicine because of my injury. And it's always an aching feeling. Even when you think you feel good, you don't. And you had to understand his scalp, all our nerves and your brain and everything. Just think about it. And they said if he didn't know how to spin the way he did to spin that fire out, it'd have been far worse. Far worse. And
Pepsi helped.
And Pepsi, they lucky that Michael wasn't vindictive because they're gonna say, hey, you guys did this to me. Because if you think about actually Michael Jackson's trouble with pain pills, it started with that commercial. And it followed him to this man had lupus, he had vitiligo. And when you think about this man's health issues, it's amazing that he was able to perform to that level. And he was going to go out there because we know this is it. He wasn't in the best health. That's why he asked for Riggino to come in and help him. Because obviously he lost a lot of weight, but Michael was living under a lot of stress and pressure. Because when you get accused of something like that, whether you did or not, you're vulnerable. Now everybody can say you did. This is why to this day, these guys are still saying he did something. Everybody's gonna say, wait a minute, if he's truly a pedophile, you know they got more than one victim. Because every day we watch the news, we found that these people, matter of fact, the guy that owned the Home Alone home here in Chicago, he committed suicide because they found out he had child porn. Now think about that. That's a connection to Macaulay Culkin, who's connected to Michael Jackson, but everybody's looking at Michael Jackson, but not everybody else around. Think about that. Think about how quiet Hollywood has been about this Epstein thing. But they had everything to say about Michael, but they ain't said nothing about Epstein. That should tell you something. Vilify the black guy that was donating money, entertaining people, open his home to him, but the guy that was actually out there doing shit, you don't see no Lisa Bloom. Where Lisa Bloom and Goya already at? But they had all that fire for Michael Jackson. This is why if I had a chance to write a sequel to that movie, I would touch it, but it would be for Michael said, all these things I did for people, and this is how they treat me. Michael Jackson is a cautionary tale that a black person, male or female, get that big, they're gonna want to take you down.
Of course, that's why Eddie Griffin made that statement so eloquently years ago. He said a black person or a black man in particular cannot go into Hollywood and leave clean. That is such a very true statement.
Look what they get to Bill Cosby. And me and Nicole, we told y'all what was going to happen. We told y'all he was innocent. Everybody thought, oh, y'all just Bill Cosby fans. We come to be proven right.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. It seems so long ago since all the Cosby stuff, but look how much stuff has happened since then. So it's like so much has happened since then. A lot of degenerate stuff has happened since then, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But look, Someone say Gloria Allred, as I call her, Gloria All Bad. But yeah, and her sister Lisa Doom, as I call her. But yeah, all in all, this was a really good movie. I had a very good time. Like I said, I saw it Wednesday, then I saw it again earlier this afternoon. Had a very good time with it. Like I said, I have no doubt in my mind this movie's going to make a ton of money. It's making money right now. It's breaking records. We already knew it's Michael Jackson. I mean, come on. I mean, let's be honest and real with ourselves here. We knew that this movie was going to make money when they first announced it. So it's no doubt in my mind. It's no doubt in my mind that, you know, this movie is going to do what it does. And I also have no doubt in my mind that there will be a part 2. And when that comes out, I will be there for that. And we will all be back here again to talk about that. So, Nicole, do you have anything else that you would like to say?
I just want to say thank you for inviting me. This has been fun and, you know, brings back old memories. And definitely, if you haven't seen the movie, go check it out. Check it out in Dolby or IMAX. They have different formats. Yes, Dolby is so old. You can feel it. The music is just so good.
Some people said that they saw it in 40. Can you imagine watching this in 40X? With the moving chairs and the lights.
I'm doing the moving chair tomorrow. Goodness. That's why I'm doing the different one. I'm doing the moving chair tomorrow.
You got to tell me how that is. You have to tell me how that is.
I'm doing that tomorrow.
Because I've seen Avatar in 40X, and man, I'm gonna tell you like this: for anybody who wants to go see a movie in 40X, please be sure that if you have something to drink, that it is secure, because you might drop it. So like you might want to get your sips in then before everything starts moving, because I made that mistake one time and luckily I was able to catch it. I had my icy, but the thing is, because the chair moved a certain way, I grabbed and squeezed the cup and the top popped off. So luckily, like nothing spilled, but I was like, that 40X chair, you know, it's going to move. You're going to get sprayed a little bit with some water, depending on what movie you watch. But the chair, it's going to be vibrating and all of that good stuff. But it's fun. It's worth the ticket for it. I will say that.
I can't wait.
And Harvey,
I'll be back on. Y'all see me around. Follow me on like TikTok. If you're on X, Instagram, I'm everywhere. Nicole's View. So.
and Harvey, you will be seeing it. You said next week.
Tuesday. Okay. My siblings gonna go see it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you thought. I'm sure you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna be in there tapping your foot. It's one of the movies you gonna move a limb. You even gonna be patting your leg. You're gonna be tapping your foot. Because when I went to go see it on Wednesday, when it got to the bad part, almost the entire audience, when it got to the part when he said, "Because I'm bad," like I heard the whole audience, like literally. All the part when he was singing Human Nature, when the part where he was like pointing the mic out to the audience for them to sing along with them about telling them that it's human nature, the audience that I was in was singing back at it like we was there. That's the thing. It felt like in the concert scenes, like you was in the audience at the concert. I said, I feel like this is as closest to a Michael Jackson concert as I'm going to get. But yeah, it was an experience. I will say that it was more than just watching a movie for me. It was a whole experience. And if you in there with a room full of people that are fans of Michael Jackson, that makes it even better. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. I got the AMC app, and every showing that I saw was at least 60% full. I saw one that had 2 11 a.m. showings, 11 a.m. on a Saturday. Both of them were sold out.
I got a question real quick for you guys. Did y'all get the Michael Jackson popcorn bucket that's shaped in a hat?
I did.
I knew it.
I
got the tin can bucket and the tumbler cups.
And I saw that smile on your husband and your son's face. Y'all was just like, we going to see the movie. And so I thought that was
Unfortunately, AMC did not join in on the merch, so there was nothing for me to get. So Regal and Cinemark, y'all got all the stuff. I know they actually went pretty good with this. Like you said, they had the fedora hat that was a bucket. That
Cinemark
was very creative for them to do.
Yeah,
they also had
Cinemark. Get it.
Yeah, they had the actual tin bucket where the top of the top of the can looked like a vinyl record. What was it that had the blanket? It was one of them that had a blanket.
I think that was AMC.
AMC had the blanket. Wow,
you
know what? That's crazy because I didn't know that AMC had the blanket.
One of them I think had the blanket.
I think one of them had a shirt. I think they had like a sweatshirt.
If they release Michael music with new mixes and stuff behind this, because obviously
I think they have. I think they have released. I think they have a whole soundtrack where they release it because remember, what like me and Nicole was saying, they mixed the voices up. So they use a little bit of Jafar's voice and mixed it with Michael's voice, and it's almost like a whole new sound. But it still sounds like Michael though.
But you know what's
so
sad?
I think
Michael's not here to see this. That's
the unfortunate part. Yeah, that he's not here to see this.
He had to take him dying for people to really appreciate his talent. That's the sad part.
Well, I can honestly say us three up here and those in the chat, we appreciated him while he was here. And you know what? It's a blessing that we could live right now and tell the tale of saying we was around when a man like Michael Jackson actually existed. Because now everybody who's born now, they have to hear about him from people like ourselves or watching videos online. We can say we lived through that. Whether we was there from the beginning during the Jackson 5 or whether we came during the off the wall era, the Thriller era, the bad era. I was born in 89, so I was at the tail end of the bad era. So my more experience with him was more with the dangerous era, History and Invincible. And then of course, after the, This Is It, everyone else, they just have to hear about who this man was. That's really, when you think about it, this biopic was for the huge major fans, but also a new generation to experience who this man was as a person, even outside of his own fame. So now people can get an inside look of what was going on, because there was always so many stories. So the biopic, in my opinion, it served its purpose. Did you get everything you wanted? Of course not. Michael Jackson's life was, like I said, very layered. Like someone said, I had read a comment. If they put everything in a movie about Michael Jackson's life, it would take us about a month to get through it.
It would have to be a series.
It would have to be a series. I mean, and if you think about it, think about the movie Selena. There was a few inaccuracies with that because, for one, J-Lo is not Mexican, she's Puerto Rican. That was a controversial casting right there, but it worked. But even years later, Netflix did a series on Selena, and they had to break it up into 2 parts to actually cover and fill in the blanks that the movie did not cover years prior. And I thought that was kind of rushed too, because Selena, she died in 95 and the movie came out 2 years later. So that was very extremely quick turnaround to do a biopic on her. But at least with Michael Jackson, it's a 17-year gap. So, there's time that they could put into this. And I shout out, to Antoine Fuqua. He did his thing, phenomenal director. When I found he was directing, I said, oh, I think this is going to be in good hands like Allstate. So I said, I liked what I got out of it. I was entertained. The acting was phenomenal. Jafar, in my opinion, and Coleman definitely for sure should get some type of nominations for the portrayals that they did with this movie.
It's hard to believe, Michael, if he was still alive this year, he'd been 68 years old. Damn, the 70 years old. Think about it.
It don't seem
And I never thought they would have did a Michael Jackson movie, consider how they did him in the last years of his life and since. Mm-hmm. So we have been blessed as fans, true fans, to see something. And I'm glad they had a black man direct it. So, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, and I appreciate you inviting me on you guys' program. We got to do this again.
Yes.
I know, definitely, for sure. Like I said, this was definitely the perfect way to kind of bring y'all back into the fold a little bit after people hadn't seen y'all and heard from y'all in so long. I said, yeah, definitely have you on to have this discussion with me, because I'm gonna be honest with you, the discussion by myself on this movie would not have been this interesting. As a matter of fact, the live would have been over at least an hour ago. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna just be honest with you. If it was just me by myself, this live probably would have only lasted about an hour. So I'm glad that y'all was on with me. Y'all had time to talk about this, because everyone's still watching the movie right now. Nicole, you said you seen it again tomorrow. So what is this gonna be, your 4th time?
Third
time? Okay, your 3rd time. Okay. So yeah, wow. Shout out. I'm definitely glad that each of you came on. I'm greatly appreciative of coming on, and also shout out to everybody in the chat who stuck around with us for over 2 hours. This was definitely a great conversation. Typically, I would have did a different type of live today because I usually always do a different type of live on the last Saturday. But I said this Saturday, we dedicating it to this movie right here. But with that being said, we are about to get up out of here. To everyone in the chat, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your weekend. We are about to get up out of here. I have a video dropping tomorrow at 1 p.m. So definitely be on the lookout for that. With that being said, be safe, stay hydrated, and most importantly, be one.